Hello, my name is Ashley Cowburn, and I'm a political correspondent at The Independent. I graduated from UCL History in 2013 with a BA in History. I've been working at The Independent now since the week before the EU referendums in 2016, so it's been quite a baptism of fire. In that time, I covered free general elections, free governments, and countless leadership party contests. I previously worked on the political desks of The New Statesman, The Times, and The Observer as part of the Anthony Howard Award for Young Journalists, which is a 12-month-long scholarship for aspiring journalists, and I got that just after graduating from my master's. I'd say one of the best things about the job is that it's far from a monotonous job. Often you're coming into work with no idea of what you're going to cover that day, and you get to witness these sort of politically defining moments and cover these events that have such profound impact on people's lives. On a more practical basis, I'm based in Parliament, and each newspaper in the country has an office above the House of Commons. On a sort of day-to-day basis, a big part of the job is going to press conferences, covering proceedings in parliaments, attending select committees, interviewing politicians of all stripes, and as part of the sort of Westminster journalist lobby, you have an opportunity each day to put questions to the Prime Minister's spokesperson, who answers questions on behalf of the Prime Minister. I don't think there was ever a light switch moment when I decided I wanted to become a journalist. It was something I was considering for a long time. In fact, I think it was also something I included in my personal statement from UCL History as something I was considering back in 2010. I've always enjoyed writing and sort of delving deep into topics I find interesting, and especially topics that not many other people are exploring. And this was something that was sort of actively encouraged at UCL, and something I sort of grew a passion for. But I'd say journalism gives you a real chance to explore those topics and to share those stories with thousands of readers on a daily basis. And it also gives you a chance for your journalism to give a voice to underrepresented sections of society. At the end of my first year at UCL, I decided to get a bit more involved with the student body and ended up working with Pi Media, which at the time was a student publication with its rivals at the London Student and the Cheese Grater magazine. It had three elements. It had the newspaper, the online platform, and it had the magazine. At the end of my first year, I decided it was time to sort of stand for news editor, and that was a position I did in second year. And it took up a huge amount of time, but it was definitely worth it, and gave me this sort of first real chance to report on what was going on at the university. And it was probably through this and my work at UCL History that I managed to secure my first internship at The Guardian, which gave me a real experience of what a national newsroom is like, and I sort of developed this passion for journalism, a sort of addiction now, which I've never managed to get rid of. I think one of the most valuable skills I learned at UCL History was this ability to condense incredibly large volumes of information and primary resources into a clear, concise piece of work. This is often something I use on a daily basis in my career as a political correspondent. I often get given government reports, speeches, and select committee reports running into the hundreds of pages, and your job is to condense that information into an article for your readers, using a critical lens, often to a maximum of sort of 600-700 words at most. But I was also encouraged by some of my tutors to look into areas where others weren't, and I think this has been invaluable advice in my career. Quite obviously, decent writing skills are essential for print and online journalism, something which I undoubtedly improved at UCL History. You have one-to-one sessions with your lecturers and seminar tutors who are often leading in their research areas, and they will give you a critical assessment of your work. And I could freely admit that my writing skills were not up to scratch when I started at UCL History. I also studied for an MA in journalism after leaving UCL, which allowed me to really hone in on the vocational skills that some jobs in journalism require, but is by no means the only route into getting into the profession. I think my advice would be I couldn't recommend enough studying at UCL History. On your doorstep, you have some great institutions such as the British Library and the British Museum, and you also have some sort of inspiring lecturers who are often doing pioneering research in their area. At the time I was at UCL History, I was taught by Professor Catherine Hall, who was a sort of leading researcher in empire and its effect on Britain. And at the time she was doing a project called The Legacies of British Slave Ownership, and sort of being taught by her in a sort of close seminar was quite an inspiring way to learn. And I would say not to worry or be anxious straight away about what career you're going to get in. Just get involved in all the societies you can do, explore the topics that intrigue you most, and it may end up giving you an idea for a career that you previously haven't thought of.